Hi guys, Laura here. I know it has been a while since I've shared here on the channel, so firstly a big welcome back to all of you, and secondly I do have some very exciting news to share today, and that is that I will be walking the Araroa trail this season. So the TA is a 3,000 kilometre through hike over in New Zealand. It runs the length of both islands, and I do intend on walking the whole trail, starting north and heading right down to the bottom of the South Island over a time frame of about 4 months. Whilst I hope to meet lots of lovely people out on trail, I will be heading over solo, and as I have done previously, we'll be sharing updates online as I go. I will share on my Instagram and hopefully later on here, as I obviously won't have my laptop with me to edit, so feel free to jump over there if you would like to follow along with this one. Now, today I want to share a breakdown of all my gear I'll be taking over to the TA, as there are a few changes from my previous hikes. I think my base weight for this trail before food and water sits just about 7.5 kilos, so obviously I'm nowhere near the ultralight hiking weights, but I'm also happy with the extra level of comfort and safety that weight provides me. First off is my backpack. I've chosen actually to stick with the North Face Terra 55 litre women's pack, and as you can see, it is by far the heaviest and bulkiest item in my kit, weighing in at about 1.6 kilos. This did make it a bit of a tough decision for me whether to keep it or change it out, but ultimately I do love this pack. I find it very comfortable. The J-zip itself right around the pack I absolutely love, and it has gone thousands of kilometers of trail around Australia with me, so I've decided this will probably be my last hike with it, but since I already have it, just to use it again and get the full life out of it. So I then just have a little Mountain Smith pack rain cover to go with it. Next up is my tent. For this hike, I'll be using the Big Agnes Tiger Wall Ultralight one-man tent. It is still semi-freestanding and comes in at about 960 grams, so just under the kilo. In comparison, the tent I've used previously on the Bibliman track and the Australian Alps walking track was completely freestanding, but it did weigh approximately 800 grams more. Obviously, you could drop the weight further with a trekking pole tent, but I really love still having the semi-freestanding capability at this stage. For my sleep system, I will be using the Sea to Summit Women's Etherlight sleeping mat. This one weighs just over 500 grams, and that includes its stuff sack, which actually doubles as a cup sack in here to inflate it. And also the Neve Gear Waratah quilt, which with its stuff sack weighs under 700 grams and actually does compress down quite nicely. I do love a sleeping bag and have been using the Sea to Summit Women's Spark Down sleeping bag, but I also find the quilt really comfortable. I used it on the Australian Alps walking track earlier this year, and just given that it is a bit lighter and a bit more compact, I'm hoping that I've made the right call to go with this one again. Onto my cooking system, I have been using the Jetboil Flash. It's pretty convenient, a little bulkier than some of your cooking setups, but is also a push button ignition and compatible with typical gas canisters. I will also take a little spoon and a fork, as well as a Sea to Summit collapsible cup. I think this adds about 50 grams, but honestly, I just love to have a hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate at the end or start of my day, so that feels worth it for me. For water storage this time, I will be taking just plastic lightweight replaceable bottles out on trail, and then for filtration I will stick with the Cadvine Be-Free filter and the 1 litre flask. I've used this quite a bit this year and have found it pretty reliable from the backcountry to overseas earlier this year, so I'm quite happy with that one, but I will probably also throw in some water purification tablets just in case as well. For safety, I will be carrying my GME personal locator beacon, obviously hoping I won't need this one, but as always it goes with me just in case. Also, I will carry a basic first aid kit, and in here a few bits and pieces should I need to repair any gear as well. I then have a little personal toiletries kit for things like sunscreen and a toothbrush. For my electronics, I have a small dry bag here. This will hold my AirPods, charging cable, Black Diamond head torch, as well as a 20,000 amp hour power brick. This one's a bit heavy, but it is important for me for the likes of recharging my phone so I can listen to music, use maps on the go, and of course film some content along the way. Then I think last we have clothing. I tend to walk in activewear, so we will be doing that on trail. I've got hats and sunnies. In gingy toe socks, I find really great for blister prevention. They're a little bit funny to get used to, but now that's all I will walk in. And for shoes, I will be pairing them with the new Women's Ultra Lone Peak 8. I walked the Australian Alps walking track earlier this year in the Ultra Lone Peak 7s, and I absolutely loved them, but did ultimately just end up wearing them out. So I'm quite excited about the upgrade to this ripstop mesh on the 8s, while still keeping the traditional wider toe box that I just feel a lot of hiking shoes and running shoes miss the mark on a bit. So yeah, really excited about these, and a lot of grip on the bottom there as well. The other thing that I will have on me is trekking poles. These are a Mountain Designs carbon fiber pole. Honestly, something that I have not used a lot myself previously or on any long distance hiking trail, but I do feel they will be quite beneficial this time in terms of injury prevention, so I will be quite interested to see how they go. For packed clothes, I'll be carrying a second set of fairly light but longer activewear, as well as merino base layers. That's the icebreaker bottoms here, as well as a long sleeve top in the merino, which should be quite breathable and comfortable as well. I have my Expedition Series jacket here. It's a little bit heavy at about 300 grams, but again, I love it. I wear it absolutely everywhere, and it will definitely keep me warm, which is quite essential over there. For wet weather, I have Marmot rain pants. These are fairly light, and I've had a really good experience with them so far. I also have the Patagonia rain jacket. This one is a little bit heavier. It's a bit of a thicker material, but I think should be quite appropriate for the poor weather conditions that I will be potentially receiving in New Zealand. They both handle quite well in the wind if I need to cover up and keep myself warm as well. Other than that, I just have some underwear, spare pair of socks, a light cloth, and a beanie for the colder conditions. So I think that is everything. It will be quite interesting to see how it all goes, but assuming all goes well, I might jump back on after the trail and do a bit of a review of what worked, what didn't work, and any gear I would change. And yeah, as I said, I will be sharing more over on my Instagram shortly, so feel free to jump over there if you would like to follow along. Otherwise, if I've missed anything, feel free to drop me a comment, and I look forward to getting back to you guys shortly with some updates. All right, see you then.